So we got a great topic here with two very, very, very successful agents, the esteemed Melissa Gonzalez and Lisa Jordan. And today's topic is something that you guys could obviously relate to, which is how to become successful in your first year of real estate, how to do 12 transactions, which is a lot easier said than done. Most agents coming into the business their first year don't really accomplish that. In fact, there's a lot of seasoned agents that don't even do 12 transactions in a full year. So both of you guys in your first year as full-timers and your first year as an agent, both of you guys were able to accomplish those numbers. In fact, you guys were both able to surpass it. So I want to find out, what is it that you guys did and what's the quickest way to get there? So I'll start with you, Lisa, with your first year. You've been in the business now, what, 18 months, 19 months?
18 months, yeah.
Yeah, 18 months. First year you did, I think, 19 transactions, right?
I did.
19 transactions. How were you able to get to 12 transactions plus in your first year? Like, what did you do? Besides bug me the entire time.
And me. And Pete. No.
Can I go?
Yeah, you can go.
So I think really it's what we talk about all the time is the basics. You know, there's tried and true methods that have worked. So it was not about reinventing the wheel. I just did exactly what I was told to do. I let everyone know that I was an agent. I really broadcasted myself. I did a lot of training. I worked hard on understanding the market, understanding what the conversations that I know that buyers were going to have with me. And I followed every lead. That was my biggest thing. In the beginning, I followed every lead that I got. I tried to work with every single person because it was more about gaining the knowledge and understanding, you know, questions that were going to be asked. What are the things that you don't know what you don't know, right? And being asked questions by buyers or sellers or renters, whatever it was giving me more knowledge. So I chased every lead that I got and I worked every lead. I didn't only chase them, I worked them until I realized, maybe they're not worth my time. But I really worked and chased every lead that I got. And I did a lot of training. I did a lot of research. And I was very self-sufficient when I wasn't calling you or Mel or Pete in getting the answers myself. But it was really about chasing the leads, working the leads, understanding the business, understanding the process, and educating myself on things that the buyers will want to know.
Tell me a little bit about like your experience, Mel, your first year, and how did you get there? What were you doing? Was it any different than what Lisa was doing? Like, where were you squeezing your opportunities from? The one thing that everybody has to respect real estate agents is we create our opportunities, right? We are, and I love, shout out to Angela Zorro for, telling us this a while back. She wakes up with the mindset that she is unemployed when she wakes up in the morning. She gets up and she goes out and hunts every day. That's her mindset. And I love that because it's the reality of what we do. We're always hunting every day for the next opportunity, right? It never stops. It's a constant grind, right? So what did you do your first year to get to that level of success?
I think that anytime that you want to do something, you have to like fully immerse yourself, right? So for me, I really dove head first and I immersed myself in the business. I did a lot of trainings. I shadowed, right? I shadowed agents like yourself because you were still an agent at the time.
I was a very good agent, by the way.
Up for debate. And also, I really wasn't shy, or I tried not to be shy. I told everybody that I was an agent. I really relied on my sphere of influence, right? Actually, my first client was somebody that I knew. So I told all my friends and family that I was an agent. Something else I also did was, as far as activities, I'm talking about like what you can do to get to, those numbers is in the beginning, you might not want to spend money, right? You might not want to invest a ton of money because you don't really know where to invest it. And starting out, I decided that before I invest any money, I was going to try and do tasks that didn't cost money, right?
Such as
so I did open houses every weekend.
Good.
And my second client that I closed on was from an open house because essentially those leads are free, right? You sit at an open house and you can get a couple buyer leads, and then you just have to.
It's crazy how many
work at
listing agents don't want to sit on their open houses, by the way.
I
I
know.
know I'm digressing here for a second, but
I know.
we'll talk about that at a later time. But go ahead.
Well, it's not even that they don't want to. Just sometimes they might have more than one, so they can't
true.
be two places. So I did open houses. You know, that was free, and I thought it was a good way for me to get in front of people, because I also noticed that the more I spoke to people, the more confident I was.
Yeah.
Right. So I also used open houses to just gain confidence. Right. I think that you have to, a lot of it is mindset, and you have to really believe that you're going to be successful. And you have to have the confidence to do that. And obviously the confidence will come later. It's not going to come right away.
Yeah. Lisa, walk me through your first transaction. How did you get it? You know, what did you do? What was it?
You know, as Mel said, like, some people might not spend money, but I did in the beginning, because I didn't have a sphere of influence, because, you know, I just moved to New Jersey. I didn't know anyone here. So I did spend money on lead gen. And my first deal came from lead generation, but it wasn't like, it was company, it was Op City. So I got my first deal from Op City.
Gotcha.
My first 5 deals actually came from Op City, or 6. My first one was a rental. So I'm not going to speak about the rental. I'll speak about the purchase. I had a buyer, and she was moving back from out of state. You know, she knew where she wanted to go, which was great, because I really didn't know the towns. She, you know, said, I want to be here. So she was very specific about where she wanted to go. The towns that she told me, did research and really kind of understood where it was. And every showing that she wanted to do, I went to. I went to every showing. I tried to be there to gain more knowledge, to understand the areas. And so that lead came from Op City, and we got under contract with a house for her. And unfortunately, the deal fell apart in inspections, and we had to start all over again. But at that point, I was working with probably about another 7 people as I had her. So my first 2-3 months was really hard, because I was actively working with this client, and I had other clients coming in. I'm still trying to understand the business, trying to understand what I'm doing, because at that point you really don't know what you're
learning
what
as
you're
you
doing.
go.
You're learning as you go. So, you know, there was a lot of sacrifices made. I was up like 6 o'clock every morning. I was going to bed at 1 o'clock, because for me, again, I had to understand what people were saying to me and asking me, and where they wanted to go, and, you know, questions that they were asking that I really didn't know. So I spent a lot of time doing a lot of research. So my first deal did come from lead gen, and I kind of also got like my attorney and my inspector from that deal, and I work with them to this day. So, you know, the buyer brought them to me. They're people that she'd worked with in the past, or her family had worked with, and I was able to kind of put them in as part of my preferred team.
You better be sending those buyers gifts every year.
Actually, they sent
For
me.
the plug.
They sent me. So yeah.
Oh, nice. Mal, what was your first transaction?
My first transaction was from somebody I knew.
So sphere of influence?
Yeah, you know, it's kind of like my first and my second, they literally closed like 4 days apart. So it's like, I don't even remember which one came first, to be honest. But one was sphere of influence, which was great, because
This is the guy that works for your father, right?
Yeah, that referred me like 8 people.
So you were leveraging people that you knew to obviously get referrals, which is great.
Yes.
Wait, say that again.
Renato referred me like
I know,
8 people.
8 people already? Wow.
Like, anyway, so yeah, he was my first client, and it was great for me, because you know what? He knew that I was new. So there was a lot of time, and for me it was easier in the sense where I didn't feel so like tense, because he knew I was new. So he was like very patient, right? If he asked me something, I would just say, hey, I don't know, I have to check. And he knew that I was new, so it was almost like no pressure, right? I didn't think that he'd fire me, right?
Because then your father would fire him.
Yeah, then my dad would fire him, exactly. So that was great, the fact that he was one of my first clients, because it just made it a little bit easier for me, right? I was more comfortable, I was more at ease. But then my second client came shortly after, and I actually got that from an open house, from sitting in an open house. And it was funny, because the open house that I met her at, she ended up buying, but she didn't buy it from the open house. So I met her at the open house. I had sent her an email after the open house. You know, they didn't get back to me, so I followed up again, like midweek, and then they responded, and they said, you know, hey, the house that we met you at, it's not for us, but we want to keep looking, and yes, let's link up and let's go out for coffee and go over what we're looking for. So I did that. So I had showed them like, I don't know, 10 or 15 houses after that. And then they decided that actually the open house that I met them at was the best house for them.
Oh, wow.
So luckily it was still available, and they bought it.
All right, so let's shift gears a little bit, right? You know, and thanks for sharing both of your stories. You guys now have a lot of knowledge, and for those who are listening, in this business, experience doesn't come with years in the business; it comes with transactions. You can have somebody like Melissa and Lisa who collectively have about 150 transactions under their belts right now together. They have more knowledge than somebody who's been in the business for, I don't know, 10, 15 years, who's only done 40 transactions. These two have tremendous amount of knowledge when it comes to what works, what doesn't work. And the beauty about this business is that what may work for you may not necessarily work for somebody else, and vice versa. Besides sphere of influence, right? And if we're going to talk about paying, you know, for certain things, get granular and specific. What worked for you guys your first year? Like, give us a list of stuff. And I'll start with you, Lisa. If somebody was watching this right now that is thinking about getting into real estate or is brand new, like, what do you recommend them doing if they had a budget and if they didn't have a budget?
So I know Mel will be able to speak about the sphere, and me not so much because I didn't have that.
Correct.
So I will speak about, for me, it was advertising.
And by the way, like, that's fascinating that you come in here with no sphere and you're able to, you know, become successful. Because most people are successful because they have a leverage. They're able to leverage that sphere, and you didn't. So your scenario is a lot different.
And I say this to everyone. I wish I had a sphere. I wish I knew people. I wish I didn't have to put out the money that I did in the beginning. But you know what? At the end of the day, I hit the number. In the beginning, you don't know what's going to work. So you kind of dip your hat in a couple of different things to see what will. I know lead gen would work because that was how I was going to get leads.
So
there was no other way.
What were you
so
investing
in the beginning, I did UpCity. Mm-hmm. I went to UpCity right away. And then I also did Realtor.com and I did Zillow. Mm-hmm. I dabbled in ZBuyer for a minute, and but I didn't get any success from ZBuyer, so I stopped with ZBuyer.
A lot of people have complained about it.
I didn't see any success with ZBuyer. UpCity and Zillow really truly worked for me. I closed 9 deals with UpCity my first year, and I closed 6 deals with Zillow.
Oh wow!
And I only closed 1 with Realtor. So I leveraged every single transaction that closed. I circle prospected. Mm-hmm. I circle prospected the heck out of every single transaction. And there were some that weren't like close to me, like the one I closed in Belvedere. I didn't circle prospect as much. I did send out mailers to them because, you know, you're taught like send out mailers to but I know I didn't want to work in that area. So I didn't.
That was like an hour and change.
That was an hour and 15 minutes from my house. The ones that I closed closer to me, I circle prospect. I still to this day, actually still send mailers to those same exact addresses from those homes that I closed last year. That still continues to be part of my my mailers. And one of the other things that I did was everywhere I went, I gave someone a business card. I kind of did that rule of, back when I first started, I wanted to hand out 10 business cards every single day. Like, that's awesome. That was my goal, to hand out 10 business cards every single day, and I did. I still get people call me. You know, I was on social media a lot. I did a lot of social media in the beginning. I don't know what the heck to post, but it just, you know, as we all know, I'm scared of camera. it petrifies me. But I can talk to anyone, anywhere, at any time. Like that, I'm just a talkaholic, so I can talk to people. But just being in front of camera, so being face to face with a person, that's my strong suit. Like I didn't do a lot of open houses. I did my first open house with Mel, actually.
Yeah, I had to go through the snow. Do you remember that stuff?
Oh my God! And no one showed up to the open house until like 20 minutes before we were about to leave. So the only reason I didn't do many open houses were 2 reasons, really. Every open house was super far from me, but I got extremely busy with my lead generation right from the start. So I didn't have the time. Not that I didn't want to. I truly didn't have the time to set open houses for people because every weekend I was out. Remember I told you I chased every lead. Yeah. You know, and, you know, I'm sure we're going to talk about it, but time management was not my best in the beginning because I thought I could help everyone. For me, it was really my lead gen and then just circle prospecting for closed transactions in my first year.
Awesome. And Matt, what did you do? Like, what are some of the things that you recommend that, you know, obviously have proven results and that you don't recommend?
Yeah. So I was part-time in the beginning, right? So for me, what I did is I worked obviously at a school. I took my business cards and put it in everybody's mailbox, all the teachers' mailboxes, to tell them that, you know, now I'm a licensed realtor. I actually did get a client from that. So I didn't hand out 10 business cards a day, but I wasn't shy about telling anybody that I encountered that I was a realtor.
Yeah, I don't know why so many agents are like so scared to tell people what they do. It's like, I'm a real estate agent. Yeah, right here, me.
Yeah. So what I did is I really just used the fact that I had another job and had coworkers to my advantage, right? It was just more people that I could tell that I'm an agent to. I also, blasted all over my social media that I was an agent. Friends, family, everybody knew, right? I also had like my father telling people that, I'm an agent now. So I did a lot of that. I tried to really utilize my sphere as much as possible. I didn't do lead gen. Like Lisa, right away. I really relied on my sphere and like open houses.
Yeah.
I mean that's pretty much all I did.
And that's good. Like I always tell brand new agents, and I learned this, over 20 years ago when I sat down at a conference room. I was hired by Prudential to be a sales rep, right, to sell, life insurance, etc. And this gentleman comes in the door and he gives me like 5 sheets. They look like Excel sheets, right? This is like going back almost 20 years ago, when I was 20-something years old, 21, I think.
You mean like 40 years ago?
I knew that was coming. So he gives it to me, and he goes, write down the names of everybody you know and their telephone numbers. And I'm like, why am I going to do that? And I looked at him for like 10 seconds. I was like, oh, all right, I got it. Yeah, let me call. Like, he goes, the easiest point of sale are the people that you know. And so every new agent that comes to the door, what I always tell them is, are you married? Most of them say, no, I'm not. I'm like, congratulations. But if you were to get married right now, who would you invite? Let's say
how many
money,
people would you?
Yeah, probably not. But if money wasn't an issue, how many people would you invite? Those are the people they should be calling, right, to let them know about this new chapter in their life. I always say this. There are a couple of things that are going to come out of that conversation, right? They're either going to say, congratulations, I'm actually looking for a house. They're going to say, congratulations, I wish you told me sooner. I just hired somebody to sell my home.
I would say fire them.
Yeah, exactly. But everybody is an opportunity, and those people, they know people that are going to be opportunities for you.
Can I tell you a funny story?
No.
So I'm going to tell you anyway. So my first 6 months, I was in the salon one day, the hair salon one day, right? And I overheard someone in the salon telling the hairdresser, oh, she's looking for an apartment. So whipped out my business card and gave it to her. She's like, oh my God, thank you so much. She called me and then she says, oh, my brother and my sister are looking for a house. I said, wow. Okay. I ended up selling her brother and her sister a house, but not getting her an apartment.
Yeah.
That's okay.
And I also got 2 referrals out of that. So I was just sitting there minding my business, getting my hair done, and I overheard a conversation. And I do that a lot. Like I overhear a conversation. The minute someone says house, I whip it out. I give them my business card. I have a lady in my phone who told me she's going to call her on December the 15th of this year. And she told me that last year. And I met her. We were down the shore, 4th of July. And she said, no, I'll be ready then. Every once in a while, I check in with her, say, hey, how are you doing? I have in my calendar, call her on December the 15th. And I just was sitting next to her and overheard her speaking about it. And I was like, oh, okay. And I gave her my card.
Those are amazing stories, and as you guys are talking about it, I'm thinking like in my head, like, what is the lifelong value of everybody you know? And you're right. So there's going to be people that are not going to buy or sell, right? That doesn't mean that they're not going to be a huge referral source, right? My mom, I'll give you an example. When I was in production, she probably have given me well over 30 transactions. Like she was responsible for being the cause of that relationship, right? And, what gets me is that there's so many agents out there right now where they cannot extract instant gratification. It's okay that somebody's not ready to buy or ready to sell. And it's okay if they're never going to be ready to buy or sell. But can they refer you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 people? Absolutely they can, right? So I love what you both did, right? There are 2 different methods. Love the fact that you leverage your sphere of influence, which is the thing you should be doing if you have it, which is the easiest way to do it. And if you don't, and you gotta, hit the ground running, then you gotta be able to figure out the lead gen part, right? Because that's the easiest way to make money. It is lead generation. You can't fight it. Like you really can't fight it. Like I know that there's a lot of scrutiny when it comes to like lead generation, Zillow, etc. But it's there to help you make more revenue. There's a cost to it, right? It's an investment. But if you do it the right way, you're going to make more money. And as a brand new agent, I'm not against it, right? I'm just against paying for stuff without exploring the sphere of influence first and all the other things you could be doing for free. But if you have a marketing budget, if you have money where you can invest, absolutely, you should get into lead gen right away.
Yeah,
just
well,
be prepared for it.
Yeah, I think that after you close your first couple of transactions, that should definitely be, something that you consider, right? Putting money aside for marketing and lead gen.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe not right away. I mean, I didn't, but I'm just saying that you need to spend money to make money in this business.
Yeah, absolutely.
I look at my op city right now. I'm trying to pull it up and see how many. So in total, in 18 months in the business, Mel, you're the one who's good at math. Tell me this: 288, 254, and 150. That's probably about 600.
288,
254, and 150.
It's about 6 and change. Yep.
692 people. That's how many people have come through my op city.
Wow. Yeah.
Would I have met 692 people in 18 months?
No.
If I didn't have lead gen?
Absolutely not.
So, I mean, it works. Again, what works for Mel is not going to work for me. What worked for me might not work for Mel or for the next person. You have to do whatever works for you. You have to try different methods, right? Again, I wish I didn't have to do lead gen. I heard Claudia, when she first started, she said her first entire year.
she spent nothing.
She spent nothing. I couldn't afford to do that. If I had done that, I would have closed
5.
6. No, 6.
The 6
I would have
from Op
closed the
City.
6 from Up City,
Yeah.
right? And I would have closed nothing else.
Correct.
And that was not for my goal. So my goal was do whatever it is I had to do to hit the goals and whatever those actions were. And my action was based on the fact that I was new to New Jersey. I didn't know anyone. My actions was to, do lead generation. Someone else's action is to tell everyone they know, their dad, their mom. Oh, my mom works here. My dad works here. My brother works here. I live in this community. That's what their actions are. Everyone's actions are going to be different.
Yeah. And Claudia did a great job, by the way, not to interject. She did a great job also leveraging her mom's relationship at the hair salon, right?
Yeah.
So go ahead, Mel.
I was just going to say, there's a lot of different things you can do as a new agent, right? And you don't have to do all of them. Do what works for you.
But here's the thing, though,
like
Mel, you have to do.
Yeah, correct. You have to do it. Exactly.
You have to do
exactly.
it.
I find that people don't do it. They don't do it. But there's a lot of different things that you can do, right?
Yeah.
If you have, the budget and you have no choice but to spend money in lead gen, that's what you do. You spend money in lead gen.
If I didn't
right?
have money to spend in lead gen, I would have sat every single open house I would have
Correct.
been like,
Transition. Yep.
hey, you got an open house this
Yeah,
weekend?
of course, right? And then if you don't have the budget for that, then you do things that aren't going to cost money.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Like, what are some of the things that you can do your first year that isn't going to cost any money? Or
obviously-
minimum, because there's some stuff that isn't really free.
But like minuscule, like not a lot of money. So, I mean, obviously, like I said, open houses, just letting everybody in your sphere know that you're an agent. You can send out mailers, knock on your neighbors' doors, tell them you're an agent. There's a ton of things that you
So
can
door
do.
knocking, you can do circle prospecting.
I also did this. I forgot to mention this. My father-in-law had a chiropractic office in Bayonne. I gave him my business cards. I'm like, put this at your office. And that's free.
Yeah.
Right.
He just had my business cards at his office. Things like that. Things that anybody that that owns a business, ask them to put your business cards there.
And I think one of the things that you and I are talking about right now, Mike, get into the community.
Yeah.
Right?
That's big.
Yeah, get involved.
Get involved in the community. Like I went to the night out that they have every single August in all the towns.
Yeah.
And I went to that and I handed out my business cards there, get into the businesses in the community. And that's free. I mean, you have to get, as you tell me, get to know the owners and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was able to leave my business cards in the nail salon, leave my business cards, so get involved in the community. And if you have kids and your kids are in activities, how do you get to those PTA meetings? How do you,
Damn it, I got one today.
Also, you have dogs. People like to go to the dog park and hang out. Like just your day-to-day can get you business. What you do daily, you go to Starbucks every single day. Does everyone in Starbucks know your name?
Yeah.
Or
Yes.
pay for the coffee in the cart. You
Yes.
at the Starbucks window, pay for the coffee
But
in the
behind
cart.
you.
Right behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, it's funny that you bring
Melissa
up
flirts
Starbucks.
with the same 3 old men at Starbucks every day.
No. But
She's like,
that's
hey
what
guys,
I was just going to talk
you
about.
want to spend your retirement money by another house?
No, but that's what I
Hey,
was
Mel.
just going to say. So there's a group of 4 guys that sit at
I
my
was
Starbucks.
wrong, 4, not 3.
And they're like in their like late 70s.
So Mike's age?
Yeah, Mike's age. They look better than Mike too. So they're there every day,
Yeah.
and they talk to me every day, and they ask me the same questions, and I'm like, oh my God, nothing's changed since yesterday, guys. But anyway, it's fine. They're great. And if I don't come in, it's funny. If I don't come in one day, they're like, what happened to you yesterday? And I'm like, sorry, guys, late morning.
So going back, I'm glad you have friends. So going back to what we were discussing, so circle prospecting, where you're calling people in a specific neighborhood to let them know about a property that either just got listed or just sold, right? You can cold call, right? Just call people in a specific area, farm that area, and try to provide as much value. And you have to provide value. You know, you can't just call somebody and say, hey, are you looking to sell or looking to buy? You have to give them a reason to bring their guard down, right? You have to give them a reason to want to do business with you. And the only way that's going to happen is if they trust and like you. Right. And the only way, yeah, I know. And the only way that's going to happen, the only way someone is going to trust or like you is if you come in and provide value. Right. So instead of asking people like, hey, are you looking to sell or buy? Why don't you say, hey, if I were to provide you with value, and I know you're not looking to probably more than likely sell your home, but if I were to provide you with value, be a resource for you, would you then at that moment consider, referring me to people that are looking to buy and sell, et cetera, et cetera? Come with that mindset and that approach versus give me, take. Because if you do not extract that instant gratification, you're not going to do well in this business, right? You're not going to have longevity, right? Everybody can get lucky in their first year.
But
But
this
longevity is
business
different.
this business isn't about instant gratification, though.
No,
Absolutely not.
it's
It's
But
really not.
I do want to say something to your point, right? So yes, when you're cold calling, right, let their guard down, say something to let their guard down. But I also want to say that I find that agents sometimes are too salesy. Just when you're out and about, start up a conversation with people. You don't have to jam down their throats that
genuinely
you're
interested in
that
them,
you're
yeah.
a real that you're a real estate agent. It's just too salesy. Start a
It has to be
conversation with them.
An organic
Yeah,
conversation.
exactly. Make it organic. They will ask you, I promise you, they will ask you, hey, what do you do? And if they don't, you ask them, what do you do? And then they're going to ask you, what do you do? So, there's a way to go about it. And sometimes I just find that realtors are very salesy, and it's kind of a turnoff. We seem too pushy.
Definitely is. And I like the community stuff, by the way. I preach it all the time. You should be very involved in the community where you live, right? The business owners of the restaurants that you go to the coffee shops, they should all know you. And Melissa could tell you, everybody here, that's one thing I've done great. Like I've literally sold something, right, to, any restaurant owner or coffee shop or business that I've gone to. What did she say?
It's because you don't stop talking.
Yeah, that's right. I don't stop talking. But, get to know them. Like genuinely want to know them. Genuinely be interested in that person, because you're going to get a lot of business back. And not just the owners, also the staff, right? The people that make that business successful. That's important too. So what else? Like besides what we just spoke about?
That are free?
Yeah, free stuff.
Door knocking, I said that?
Yeah, but
Door knocking.
where should you door knock? Obviously,
Door knock around your neighborhood.
Around your neighborhood.
Yeah, that's the easiest. Mailers, you can do mailers, door hangers, that doesn't cost a lot of money.
Correct.
Right, but I think that most importantly, you really need to pick an area and then just focus on that area.
Yeah.
Right, if that's the approach. Right.
But consistency as well.
Yeah, of course,
don't
you have
send
to
it
be
out.
consistent.
Yeah, don't send it out 1 month and
And
think,
then
oh my
stop.
God, no one called me.
Right, right,
And you stop.
right.
I think here's the thing. I don't think doing 12 transactions in your first year is hard. If you do the things the actions and take the steps and have the right mindset and just do what you're supposed to do and just do.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And
It's
just
not
really
hard.
do.
No,
It's
I
not
agree
that
with you.
hard.
Not if you put a calendar in place and you
Yeah.
have your prospecting activities and you're focusing on frequency and consistency. Absolutely. I agree with that as well.
Yeah.
The problem is that a lot of people that come into this business, they have the 9 to 5 mindset. And I've always said this, you
I
if you,
disagree. I thought it was very hard. I'll be honest. I was
well,
part-time.
a lot of things are hard for you.
I
Mel.
mean, I was part-time, and I thought it was very hard.
But you just said you were part-time. That's difficult. You're working a
But
full-time job.
But I wouldn't think that someone
Yeah.
who's part-time would think that doing 12 transactions their first year is easy.
No.
You were
exactly.
part-time.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Let's-
just saying.
let's be
I
honest,
still
if
think
you weren't
it's hard.
part-time-
If you weren't part-time.
But here's the thing. And then also, okay, fine, never mind.
No, but if
She
you weren't,
now
but if
agrees.
you,
She now agrees, that's
if you
why.
weren't part-time,
No, if I wasn't part-time, no, I don't
Yeah,
think.
no,
it would
it's
be
yeah.
hard.
So it's
hard.
Not,
But
so
I
it's
also
not-
think it depends on the market.
I'd still disagree with that because
I don't know.
you can't do one transaction a year.
A year? Oh, honey, I
one
hope
transaction
so.
a month. I'm sorry, one transaction a month for the year. No
Yeah.
matter the market. So it's not hard. It's 12 months in a year. That's your 12.
Yeah.
you can
You can
easily-
do it.
Yeah, it doesn't
you
matter
can
what
do
the
12
market is.
transactions in 1 year.
In fact, I would
full-time.
we can argue or debate that if the market wasn't great, a lot of part-time agents that don't really do a lot of business that are taking away market share, right, are going to go away, and you have more market share. So I think in that aspect it becomes a lot easier. But not digressing here for a second, but if you put a calendar in place, if you followed the rules, meaning like every day you were spending a couple hours every day focusing on activities that move the needle forward, like the cold calling, like the door knocking, like sending out mailers, right? Like circle prospecting, like, being involved in your community and making relationships with people. If you did that your first 6 months, right? And you truly stuck to a calendar, to a schedule, and you were good at managing your time, there's no one can tell me that you're not going to see results from it. You're going to see tremendous amount of results. I mean, we just had Bree here last week talking about door knocking. Her first door that she door knocked, she ended up getting the buyer and she closed her first door.
We know that's.
No, but I know, but it's, you guys both said it before. The opportunities only come if you do. If you don't do
Correct.
the
Yeah, you
activities,
have to
it's not
do
going to
it.
come. You
Yeah.
can't be reactive in this business. If you are proactive, right, and you're out there doing, you're going to attract opportunities. That's just the way it's going to work, right? It's not going to change. This business is not that hard. It's simple if you do the stuff. It becomes hard if you make it complicated for yourself.
No, I find that people don't manage their time properly. Agents have a really hard time with time management.
It's not. It's just anyone in any industry, because I came from a completely
Yeah.
different industry.
It's hard.
It's hard. It 100% is. But like Brianna knocked on a door, that worked for her. Ileani sends out mailers, that works for her.
Miraculously works very well for her.
It works very well for her.
Yeah.
Every month I'm trying to figure out how I can get stamps for a penny.
It's like they read, they read those letters with her voice. They're like, oh, she's so nice.
I know, right? So again, it all comes down to,
Find your secret sauce.
okay, well, then that. It comes down to that.
Yeah.
Whatever is your secret. Lead gen works for me.
Yeah.
I want to get to a point where I'm no longer doing that. And don't get me wrong, I've
Most top
the
agents,
30
they
the
do it
38
forever.
yeah.
So
The 38 people that I've done in the past 18 months, I'm going to obviously leverage the heck out of them.
Yeah.
But I send out mailers. I do everything Ileani tells me to do. Everything. Not one person has called me but that works. So I'm not going to stop doing it. I'm going to continue to do
Correct.
it. But I'm going to do the actions and the steps that work for me.
Did
Correct.
she spray something on those mailers?
So you think so?
Like,
probably does.
There's just
she's
something.
something.
Yeah.
Because
There's
I'm like,
something.
dude, I've sent out so many mailers
Listen.
since I've started.
but it does
Listen.
work though.
I'm like-
Yeah.
Does.
It
I mean,
100%.
It definitely. What was that? It does work. I know it. Here's the thing. I changed, right? Remember I did the Liz pendants?
Yeah.
I got 3 calls from that.
Oh wow.
3 calls.
Yeah.
2 investors and 1 person who was in marketing. And then, no, actually I'm lying. 4. And 1 person who, she really needed an attorney, not me. So they do work. They just didn't work for what I've been doing for the past couple of months, trying to get sellers to sell. But it did work because people did respond. And then 1 person told me 5 mailers came to her house instead of going to 5 different houses.
Oh, yeah. I actually got a call from a mailer. He was screaming at me because he said it was junk mail. So I was like, okay.
Yeah. But here's the thing. I'm getting recognized from those mailers, though. I'm getting recognized from, I go to the supermarket and, oh, hey,
Yeah.
I know you. I went to a party from one of my clients, and they're like, you're the person who sends the stuff to my house. And I'm like, thank God you like me, because if not, you would poison my food. But
Be like, awkward.
I know, right?
Well,
Awkward.
well, I appreciate you guys sharing your tidbits and your secrets. I got to get out of here soon because I got to go cook for my 2 little daughters.
I thought you were just gonna go change your shirt.
Nah, not gonna change that.
It's
I'm gonna keep it.
atrocious, right?
What do you guys talking?
That's
Look,
an
it's
atrocious shirt.
tight
Do you
because-
agree?
It's tight because I'm swollen from going to the
Do
gym.
you agree?
That's not why it's tight.
Mike, you need a bigger
You're
size.
talking about the brownies? Are you talking about the brownies?
Yes.
Yeah.
What
But,
brownies?
Yeah, I ate a couple of brownies in the last
When?
couple of days. Anyway, so all joking aside, thanks guys for sharing your stories, and we'll see you next time.
Peace out.
Bye.